Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7. I'm back with the new time trial that has launched today on GT7. It's Thursday, every single Thursday a new one launches, and this week we are at Willow Springs. Now if you do enjoy these videos, they do help you out, get subscribed to the channel, give this video a like, let me know in the comment section how it's helped you out, and yeah, hopefully this will help you earn that 2 million credits as quickly and as comfortably as possible. Now this track is not the easiest track because not many of us know this track. I have never ever driven this track before, and it's a reverse layout just to add a little bit more complication to this layout. I think we might have driven the normal layout on this for the circuit experience or something like that, but we've never driven the reverse layout, and this is very tricky. So you might want to check this out and hopefully we can help you out. So to enter this, simply go into sport mode, then go into online time trial, and you'll be greeted with 2 time trials. We already have the guide for the Super Formula, so if you're interested in that, check that one out on the channel. Now this is the Willow Springs guide. It's the streets of Willow. You currently need a 1 minute 17.6 for gold, 1 minute 19.1 for silver, and 22.890 for a bronze. Now I would take half a second off each of them to give you a rough idea of what you're going to need for each level. I personally think you're going to probably need to creep into the 16s to make sure for the gold with regards to this event, because I can see a lot of pace to come off this. But let's get on with this, guys. Let's try and help you as much as possible because it is a tricky track. So going into turn 1, starting the time trial fresh, you're going to use a 100 board. Now if you're doing a second lap, you're going to have to brake a little bit earlier, but I find it easier starting a fresh lap. So using the 100 board as a reference, braking down through the gears, and you want to get this car rotated into the first part of the apex and then just let it coast through the corner. So watch this, trail brake into the corner, and then we're just going to let that car coast, let it rotate, and then the throttle inputs will start going in a minute. You can see we're going to try and get that left hand tire to almost cut over the sand there on the left. You can see the throttle inputs going in, left hand tire over the sand, and you're going to try and straight line this section as much as possible to get the exit speed from this chicane. You can see again, right hand tire right over the curb, and now into this next tricky corner. This is actually quite tricky. You want to get the left hand tire over the sand on the left and your right hand tire just to the right of the curb, so skimming, almost hitting the cones on the left. And then just as soon as you're getting on the brakes here, you can see there's an actual line across the track which you can use. It's like a shadow or some sort of marking on the track. You can use that as a reference, and then back up to 3rd gear before you come out the exit of this corner. Really important to widen the line into that corner and then get into 3rd gear for the acceleration zone. I was a bit delayed on the 3rd gear there, probably lost a 1/10 or so of a second, but yeah, could have done that quite a bit better. Now into the next braking zone, you are going to use the 50 board on the right hand side. This is what I use as a reference. You're almost going to be dead on that 50 board when you're getting on the brakes, so just level with it there, onto the brakes, and now you're going to trail brake this car all the way through this corner. Keep an eye on the trail braking. We're never going to do 100% braking. It's always around 50% braking because we're trying to rotate the car whilst maintaining speed. So let that car rotate, and then off the brakes, and now onto the throttle for this exit here, and then trying to carry some speed into this next right hand corner. Now this again is quite a tricky corner. You want to keep the car over to the right hand side. You can actually see a bit of braking input going in here as well, just to try and help with that rotation. Nothing drastic, just a dab of the brakes just to get a bit of weight onto the front of the car. And now this is a very tricky corner because just as you see that slight change in colour on the tarmac, you're going to brake just before that, getting that braking input in, and you're going to try and get this left hand tire over the apex. Actually, you can cut some of this corner, so you can see almost drifting our way into this corner onto the sand, and try and make sure your right hand tire stays to the right of this white line, or that will invalidate the whole lap if you go over that. Now as soon as you cut the car straightened up almost, you're back onto the brakes for this next right hand corner. You want to get on the brakes quite aggressively here because you're trying to rotate it, so you can see onto the brakes, down to 2nd gear, and trying to keep the car to the right hand side, because we're then going to swing it back into this blind left hand corner. A lot of blind corners at this track, and you can see here down to 2nd gear, and you're going to try and get this car in. You can now see the apex just as we go through the corner, and just be careful with that throttle before you put aggressive throttle in. And then once you feel confident, you can start putting that throttle in. We still run a little bit wide there, actually compromising our line into this next part slightly, but just about get on the brakes. You can see that little plant on the right hand side there. You want to make sure you're braking way before that plant on the right hand side. Now again, keep it slow all the way through. You don't want to be aggressive because otherwise you're going to understeer off the track. Just be patient on that throttle input, and then as soon as the grip's there, you can put maximum throttle in, and now you're going into the final corner braking. And again, there is a nice handy white line across the track here. You can use the final line. Make sure you're braking before that final line. If you get on the brakes before then, you should make this corner pretty much perfect. So you can see trail braking in, getting that rotation and getting that left hand side to skim the curb on the left hand side, and then onto the throttle. Now don't go 100% throttle straight away, just be cautious on that throttle. Otherwise you can easily run out wide onto the sand again on the right hand side, so just be cautious on that. And then powering our way over the line for a 1:15.9. Now I've only just learnt this track today, and it's not the fastest lap you'll ever see in your life, but hopefully it's good enough to help you out. So let's watch this lap again from the chase camera, and you're going to really see how you're going to straight line this little chicane here. So again, watch how we go through here, trying to put as little steering input in as possible to try and stop this car drifting too much. Now this corner, rotating it in, upshift the third gear. Was a delayed shift there. If I would have been a little bit earlier there, I think we would have been 2 tenths quicker on this lap at least, because you gain so much by getting onto that third gear nice and early and keeping the revs going. So bear that in mind when you're doing your lap. Hopefully you can gain a bit of time over me there. Now into this left hand corner, you can see just trying to wait for the car to rotate again on the throttle as early as possible, and again keeping it to the right hand side. Always keep this car to the right hand side, because you stay into the right, because you're going to flick it back into the left here, almost drift. You can see how you actually drift in the car into that corner. Again, keeping the car to the right, flicking it back to the left. A lot of corners like this at this track, a lot of blind corners that make it very difficult, and there's not many brake markers. It's all about just trying to do a visual reference as well. A lot of these corners you're kind of using a visual reference to the corners as well, just by distance, not by actual markers. Again, this final corner, trying to get it close to apex, actually hooked that up reasonably well. Could have been a bit more aggressive maybe on the throttle to get a bit more rotation, but again, you've got to be so cautious you don't run off into the sand. And over that line for a 1:15.9. Now hopefully this helps you get a gold. Let me know in the comments if it does. Let me know if you've managed to get that gold, silver, or whatever you're aiming for. And yeah, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you all for more videos in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.